Pressure groups are organizations which are formed when people with common occupation interests, aims and opinions get together to achieve a common goal. The pressure groups and movements aim to force the government and agree to their demands. They employ several tactics to achieve this. For example, they carry out information campaigns, organize meetings, file petitions, and influence the media to highlight issues and mobilize public support. If these efforts don't have the desired effect, the groups can use some unconventional methods such as organizing protests, strikes, disrupting government programs, and burning effigies. Business groups often use professional lobbyists, company representatives, or sponsor expensive advertisements in order to influence. Interest groups do not get involved in party politics directly, but they aim to influence political parties. On the other hand, the movement groups take a political stance without being a party. They have political ideologies and a position on major issues. The relationship between political parties and pressure groups can take different forms. It can be either direct or indirect. Very often, pressure groups are formed or led by a leader of political parties, or they act as the extended form of political parties. For example, trade unions and student organizations in India. Sometimes, these movements give birth to political parties. Take the case of students-led Assam movement against foreigners. When this movement came to an end, it led to the formation of the Assam Gana Parishad. In most cases, the relationship between parties and interest groups or movement groups is not direct. They often take positions that are opposed to each other. However, they are also in constant dialogue and negotiation. After all, in an ideal democratic setup, the government must look after the interests of everyone and not just one section. It is unhealthy if groups promote the interests of just one section in order to exert their influence in democracy. Political parties have to face the people in elections, but the special interest groups are not answerable to people. Sometimes pressure groups with small public support are backed by individuals who are willing to spend for the cause. As a result, these groups can hijack public discussion in favor of their narrow agenda. Putting pressure on the government is not an unhealthy activity in a democracy, provided everyone gets a chance. However, in reality, it is groups of rich and powerful people who can pressurize the government. Take the example of the water wars of Bolivia. In such a scenario, the public interest groups and movements perform a useful role of countering this undue influence. If one group brings pressure on the government to make policies in its favor, another group counters this pressure. It persuades the government not to make policies as desired by the first group. In this way, the government is informed about the requirements of different sections of people. This leads to a rough balance of power and accommodation of conflicting issues between the groups and the government. Although pressure groups and movements influence politics in various ways, it is the responsibility of our government to ensure the interests of all and not just a particular group or section.